Good afternoon, incredible people. It's your favorite motivator from afar, Mike Mallory, with the motivational jumpstart right here for WHUS Stores. We're in studio. It's another day. It's another opportunity. But as you all know, typically I'm on Wednesdays, but I'm excited. I'm blessed because it's the weekend, and I have a special edition because I have a special guest that's in studio with me all the way from New York. Came to the University of Connecticut to do her thing. She's a brand expert. She's a journalist. She's a woman in sports. She's a rock star. She's a mentor. She does all these incredible things in the world. And I actually had her on the show. She called in, was trying to get her in studio last year, but she called in. I was so grateful that she called in, and she just dropped a little bit about her life, her legacy, and all the things that she's doing in the world. But she's evolved since then from her social commentary and all these other things. So without further ado, in studio, it brings me great honor to have Miss Mia Hall in studio. What's happening? What's
What's
happening? What's
up?
good? Thank you for taking this long drive to Connecticut to come show love to the students, to share your wisdom. You
Listen,
in
man.
studio.
Listen, man. I'm in studio at the con. I don't
Listen.
know what y'all call it, but everybody, from New York or wherever, we love to shorten something else. So they got the ink, we got the con.
You know what I mean?
So it's the con. So I'm glad to be at the con, man.
Yo, I'm excited to have you in studio, and I know it's been a long day. So to the people out there who don't realize the life of a grinder, of someone like a Mia, just, the work that you do, I'm sure it was a late night, right? Just doing work, preparing, and then you came from where to where, and how? What time? To the grinders, to speak a little bit on just the journey today.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you gotta once you commit to the hustle, once you commit to the grind, you gotta commit to it. So yeah, I got about 2 hours of sleep. Had to get up and get out by like 4 o'clock, so I can get on the road and get here um, to be able to make it to this conference. So yeah,
It was good, and you did your
came
thing.
from Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Brooklyn in the building. Shout out to Brooklyn. I
Shout out
love
to
saying that.
BK.
Being from Louisiana, I just feel like it's just legendary. Brooklyn is in the building. So anyway, Mia, as you know, and we're going to get into some interesting things because I definitely want your perspective on a lot of the shenanigans that's been happening in the world of sports. But just for the listeners out there, just to remind them, tell them a little bit about yourself, right? Who is Mia Hall, and what makes you come alive? What inspires you, girl?
All right, awesome. So I am Mia Hall. I am a speaker, producer, and career strategist. So I speak to women and smart men about how to break out of their comfort zones and into their dream careers. I also am a producer currently for NBC digital platform, NBCBLK.com, where I write stories and produce content and report in different live events. I'm also a career strategist, so in that respect, I do events like we did today, Techno Edge Leadership Conference. Shout out to the organizers of that. Um, Kiasha, Shanice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, all right. We got to shout them out, and all the students who came out. Thank you for coming out. But yeah, so I do conferences, keynotes, workshops about career development. So today I was talking about networking, and I also do one-on-one career coaching. I have a couple clients that have reached out to me and just want to take their career to the next level, or they want to transfer into a new career. So I help them to go from unclear to clear about taking that next step.
Yeah, definitely. So just a little bit before we segue into the reason why you're here and just that wealth of information that you have. So
Yeah, I forgot to say what inspires me.
we're gonna get to. Well, how about what inspires you, and then after that, what did you speak on at the conference, and what do you feel like the feedback, the litmus test was from the students here?
Oh, okay. All right. So, whew, all of that. I'll try to answer it all at once. So, what inspires me to continue doing what I do? After God, of course, I definitely believe in God.
For sure.
And my mom, she's a big part of my life, and I'm thankful that she's still here. That I'm able to, be able to see her and give her what I can, do for her what I can. I love the phrase like I can't stop because my mom is still working. Like I want to be able to put her out of a job.
For sure.
And so yeah, so definitely her. She sacrificed, did a lot for me. Single parent. Shout out to my dad though. He definitely I definitely have a relationship with him now. But he knows my mom held it down. So definitely for her, and then for the people that are coming after me, right? So the
Yeah.
young girls that that I used to be, like I definitely remember going to events and seeing women that were dressed up and that looked like me, and that being the first time. I remember the first time I saw somebody like dressed up, and she was a boss over all these men, and and that really inspired me. Like I only thought that we could be entertainers because that was all I was exposed to.
Uh-huh.
So I really want to expose those young girls that are out there that they may not have the resources, or their mom may not have graduated college. Nobody in their family might not have graduated college like mine before I went. And so I want to, I do what I do, definitely for them as well.
Absolutely, and that's so powerful. And so then a little bit about the speaking game. So you talked about career advancement and career and the phenomenal work you've been doing. So what was the litmus here at UConn? Where I know they were feeling it, but I just want to know for you, being back at UConn, how does it feel? How did it feel today?
Right. No, so it was awesome. I definitely was fix my I love UConn button from my girl Cassie over here. But yeah, no, it was awesome feedback. I really enjoyed the students. They were very engaged. We were talking about how to make your network and really focusing on building authentic relationships, not just surface networking, not just getting exchanging business cards, because that's not going to get us very far. So I talked about, taking those relationships to the next level. I talked about different types of relationships with, mentors, but also mentees, and also your peers, and, also, who's in your phone, who's the last, 5 people that you called, and, who's in your top 5, who are your 5 friends. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Speak to
I
them.
spoke about mastermind groups, and, are you going to be very intentional about getting to your goals, or are you going to, try to go at it alone? So all of these things, they were, very engaged. They were, very open to, what I had to say, and just learning new things about different ways to network, and, your elevator pitch. And we, practiced that a little bit, and, we're just able to go through different scenarios. So they, the feedback that I received was good. They said they really enjoyed it and learned some new things, and, are encouraged to really keep relationships and not just, reach out one time and expect, the magic to happen. No, it's really about, keeping those relationships and making sure that you're on somebody's mind. Like I told them, it's not only who you know, but who knows you, right? Because they always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. No, it's not only what you know, it's not only who you know, it's who knows you. You want to be on people's mind when opportunities come, so that they can think about you.
No, absolutely. And just within the friendship, me, and just to the listeners, it's just that I can speak to that, and it's not being subjective or biased towards it, but I can only imagine just how well, our students received your feedback, you know what I mean? Because, when I look at it from that perspective, I think, like, wow, I've seen it. I'm a lurker at times, me. You know this about me. And I've lurked from your Instagram lives to your Snapchats to all of the things that you do. But you're always constantly networking and being a model, of the work to say, no, I want to make my net work. I want to be on people's radar. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but the level of consistency that you display is through the roof. And I feel like really sincere publicly saying this. I know you've known it, but publicly saying it, like, yo, I'm extremely, just a fan of your work and your work ethic. I think it's very inspiring, and more people should strive to do that. Like, where would you credit your work ethic to?
Well, I'm just going to take a second and say thank you. And of course, I, admire your work too. I see you grinding it out all the time, getting up early. I'm like, yes, more power to you, because I don't know how I can do that early, but I put much respect to you and all that you do, and staying consistent with the radio show. I'm like, I say to you, I don't know how you're able to pursue a doctorate degre and do a radio show and mentor kids and do every other 5 things and get ready to run a marathon. So, much respect to your hustle, and salute to you.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
But where do you get some of that your work ethic, is the trial and error? Was it, some things to mom and then life, and you're like, yo, I got to get it if I want it. Mm-hmm. What would you attribute that towards?
I mean, definitely I did see my mom, busting her butt, to make sure that I had enough. Even my dad, I definitely saw him, working hard to, just try to, do what he had to do to provide for me and my younger sister. And so definitely my parents were a big influence, because I saw them. I saw my mom every day. And honestly, my family emphasized education. And they emphasize like not just going to school, but making sure you were doing something after school. So I was in programs since I was younger, that with mentors and with people that cared about students and people that wanted to see you work to your best ability to get to the next level or to follow your dreams. So this has been put in my head, thankfully, by positive influences from the time I was growing up in pink houses to the time when I was in the projects to the time when I was in high school, and beyond. So I definitely thank the people that came before me, the people that were either my dance teacher, at East New York Theatrical Workshop, my, high school guidance counselors and, teachers that were there at Harry Van Arsdale, my college advisors and, the people from my church, absolutely, my youth leaders and, just all of them encouraging me to work hard. But I also know that, I had a passion for education and, went to study it. At Harvard, praise the Lord. But there is where I learned the difference between, regular learners and self-regulated learners. And I realized that I am a self-regulated learner. Like I do, I am, somewhat self-motivated, but I know that it was because of, the influences that I got. So now I'm able to, internally I have, like a willingness to do, like to work hard and to go extra hard for what I want. So.
Wow.
So that's where a lot of it comes from.
I vibe with it, and the energy is through the roof. And I know it's just been a long day, but I appreciate you for granting me the exclusivity, and just to be in your presence. Yeah, exclusive. You know what I mean? So this is what I really hear. And we talked about this, but I feel like within public discourse, there's a lot of individuals. You know what I mean? That have been saying things, Mia, out there in the world. There's a lot of things that are madness, right? I call it a month of exploitation, but we're not gonna get into that just yet. March Madness, but there's a lot of things. So I'm just curious. Did you fill out a bracket? My bracket got busted. Husky. Look, I would have picked UConn had we made it this year. I know it's a rebuilding year, so it's cool. So I went with Duke, and Duke got. Yeah, my bracket got busted early, so, I'm just a fan right here. But from that perspective, you know what I mean? From that perspective, who did you have for your bracket, if you did fill out a bracket? And then I want to talk about this guy, LeVar Ball. From a social perspective, from your genius, but did you fill out a bracket? This is the first question. And if so, who did you pick to win, and is that team still in the tournament?
Right. So, moment of transparency, I did not fill out a bracket this year.
Okay.
I always get my feelings hurt because I always have Hampton winning the national championship, whether it's men or women's. So, I do have to give a shout out to our women's team who did take the MEAC title. Woo woo, go Lady Pirates, go Lady Pirates. So they did take the MEAC title, but didn't make it very far. But that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay. And our men, they didn't make it into the dance this year. So I think that maybe I was a little discouraged, and I was like, you know what? If I can't put like Hampton on in my roster, then I don't want to fill it out. Right. But I do enjoy watching these teams, especially just seeing women get that center stage. I just love being able to see them get what they deserve, and though it's not always always the most coverage, you know what I mean? But during March Madness, I feel like it is more, and they are really in the conversation. So I love it.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into women in sports for sure, but I want to start with, so UCLA got knocked out yesterday by Kentucky, right? Which I had Kentucky and Duke in the championship, and Duke beating Kentucky.
Derek Anderson, John Wall, like Kentucky, like I love my Wildcats. So I gotta say,
yeah. One of my high school center played at Kentucky. Shout out to Perry Stevenson. You know what I mean? He played at Kentucky. You know what I mean? But from the perspective, there's this guy right on UCLA's team, the ball. Then there's his brothers playing Chino Hills, and then it's the dad. I'm a fan. Yes. Of LeVar Ball. But I want to get, what is your thoughts on LeVar Ball and the things that have been surrounding him, the good, the bad, the indifferent? Right. What is your thoughts?
Right. So, I mean, honestly, the fact that we're, talking about him, I don't see. I think that this is the thing that I've heard that was interesting to me. We didn't really see a lot of people's dads involved the way that LeVar Ball's dad is involved with his sons.
For
You know
sure,
what I mean?
yeah.
So whether, granted, he does cross the line sometimes, but what dad wouldn't for their kids, right? He doesn't, I don't think he has to go as far as he does. But, sometimes, a lot of reporters and, people that are commentators don't have to go as far as they do. But sometimes they do it for the energy. They do it for the. So honestly, I'm happy to see this dad in his son's life like that. The way that he's pumping them up, the way that he's encouraging them. And it's like, on display for the whole country to see. So, granted, I don't agree with a lot of things that he might say. I don't think he had to talk about LeBron's kids. Like, why you have to bring that man's family in your, into what you have to say? But I just respect him. I feel like he's doing like Muhammad Ali would, you know what I mean? Just, I'm the greatest, or my sons are the greatest, you know what I mean? Like, he's pumping himself up because he's doing that so that he could believe in himself. And that's what we, as even motivational speakers or, people that motivate themselves, we talk about ourselves all the time, but he has the opportunity to do it on a different platform. So, I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm just happy to see a black dad and his black sons, lives, and people, get to see that on display, him caring about his sons enough to, talk about it in the way that they do. Granted, it's not always the best, but, that's just a different picture that we don't always see. We don't know, granted, there's a lot of, in the NBPA, I will give them a shout out. The National Basketball Players Association is doing a new initiative that they launched in New Orleans during All-Star Weekend, and they have an initiative where they are showing NBA players and their fathers, like Chris Paul and his dad, and a couple other players and their fathers. They have, a great campaign with the pictures with their dads because they feel like, that isn't the narrative. We don't usually see. We usually see, people saying, oh, my father was never in my life. Like, they think every black kid, their father wasn't alive, but that's not always the case. So the National Basketball Players Association Foundation is doing this campaign with NBA players and their dads. But that's a new thing. So to see this, at the college level and to see this dad, really involved, like, I just got to say I respect it.
Listen, I love it. I love it. He said it the other day. He said they called Serena's dad crazy.
Yep.
They called
and
Michael
that's
Jackson's.
Exactly who comes to mind.
They called Michael Jackson's dad crazy.
Yep.
And now you look at it, and I think the involvement to where even the hilarious at times and indifferent. Skip Bayless said, I wish I had a dad like LeVar Ball, right, who was pushing me. And I think it's so, once to your point, not the narrative that's traditionally out there, but I think it's so powerful because we know from, right, the societal norms that we all pictured, especially, persons of color, that our dad is not in our life. And then you start realizing, I was just able, shout out to Dr. Cooper, my advisor here at UConn, but he has this organization called Collective Uplift. It's about holistic development, etc. And so in the meetings with a lot of the athletes, he had Maurice Evans, Skype into the meeting. And Maurice Evans, I was asking him the question. It was something to the effect, some of the athletes here, come from families. If, some of them are training for the NFL. If they do get in, what would you say to do with their money? And not only just from their money perspective, what would you say to do if family is just long distance cousins, they didn't even know, started asking for money? I said, because a lot of times these people don't have certain people in their life. He said, well, wow. He said, I can understand that. I would tell them to be smart, but, I was blessed. I had both my parents in my life. People don't talk about it, but my mom and my dad, really laid down the framework for me. And my dad was a, instrumental part in my life. So seeing LeVar Ball, I'm like, yo, this is awesome. And it makes for good news, right? But it is a certain story that most people, we're not talking about. And I think it's intimidating. I think the structure is intimidated about it. Shout out to Lonzo Ball for declaring right after the loss, I'm ready for the NBA. Shout out to that, because he's like, UCLA been exploiting me, so I'm ready to go take my talents to the next level. So what are your thoughts on just the way the structure, I'm shaking up the structure. What are your thoughts on that?
You mean with him saying, wait, who's taking up? You talking about Alonzo?
Well, no. LeVar Ball, he's just saying the way that I'm doing, being in the picture, and then we going to get into the Triple B brand that he representing, the big baller brand, 1B for each of his sons. He's like, I'm sure. How many athletes go from college to the league with their brand already?
Yeah, no, I respect it. I've been, like I said, I gained a passion for the business part of sports.
For sure.
And wanting to, granted, my hoop dreams were crushed when I didn't make the Division I Hampton basketball team. Maybe that's why I respect them so much now. But yeah, and I knew that, okay, I can't play for a team, but that really opened up my perspective as to, okay, I can't play for a team, but I can own a team. Like, I can be, you know, an a commissioner of the league of a league. You know what I mean? Just like it expanded my mind beyond, being an athlete. So the fact that they're coming in with their brand already, I love the way that he's shaking up the structure, and I hope that more either parents think about it like that, or or players think about their brand. As a college student, like you said, I mean, they're making millions. Schools are making millions of dollars with these students, and they're getting scholarships, but nothing else. So why not build a brand that you can take with you in the NBA and beyond. So.
Well, these athletes are getting they're getting a fine education at these institutions. Why should we pay them? Because we can't pay the women that way. I mean, how do you break it up? Who gets more? We don't want to make it a imbalance, because then exploitation could happen if we start paying athletes. And I'm like, why the same teams making it to the Peach Bowl or making it to the Final Four every year, almost every year, if exploitation and things are not happening? I love it, but I do feel like the NCAA, they're like, okay, how do we write a policy so that parents can't even create a brand for their own kids? I feel like that's going to be the next level, but I love it. I enjoy it. It frustrates me, but I think it's the beautiful thing that if more parents, to your point, if that trickle-down effect happens, they're like, you know what? Nike is cool, but what if I create my own brand already? Right, I would tell athletes now, you should already own your own website domain. You need to be thinking branding, being smart about it, because that's shout out to Anthony Davis when they was the whole big fight, right, when he was in Kentucky about the brow and the NC. No, we trying to patent and trademark this. Bro, are you being serious? You being serious?
Shut that right down. Yeah.
You being serious? You know what I mean? So from that perspective, I think what LeVar Ball is doing great, and people could say, and I think this is the other thing too, society, right? And they have this epistemological, shout out to the PhD program.
Get them $100 words.
We getting these words, but these certain frameworks are there that I'm like, when people look at, like, who defines what is arrogant, what is braggadocious? A man who comes from Compton who's saying, like, yeah, my sons came from, had a different life upbringing than me, but guess what? I'm instilling in them confidence. I want people to say, yo, my dad put a target on my kid's back, and I want them, because that's going to raise their game. And people are like, wait, you're supposed to just be nice. Just shake hand and kiss babies. Stay in the background. And I'm kind of like, who defines what is arrogant, right? Who? I mean, no, the guy in Louisiana in the park who said he's better than Michael Jordan. There's a bunch of, back in my day, young, but I would have beat Jordan. You know what I mean? So everybody's saying this, but why not have a level of confidence just through the roof? And that's the thing that I love.
You're giving the platform. Now everybody wants to speak to him. So it's like,
he's a branding genius. I know he knows what he's doing. He ain't go to no school for this. But he didn't been on First Take.
Right. He didn't have to go to a formal school, but believe me, he was schooled.
He was schooled. The school of hard knocks. First Take, Undisputed. He's been Sports Nation.
He's been everywhere,
wearing that Triple B shirt.
Man, listen.
So from that perspective, so we talk about LeVar Ball, and I think it's great. You think it's great. This is other thing, Mia, though, that's been kind of like grinding my gears, and learning more the deeper nature of just these social structures. The homie Colin Kaepernick is still looking for a team. And, I mean, granted, I must admit, I'm a football fan. I love the passing game. So I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. Got to shout out the city for sure. Yep. Moving in New England, I'm okay, on record, I was hoping Atlanta won, but okay, the Patriots did their thing. It's cool, whatever. People going third string, practice squad, practice B squad, and to say that, oh, this man took a stand and he brought so much attention.
Troublemaker.
So what are your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick? Because I'm like, okay,
it's. I mean, honestly though, he doesn't seem, like. I mean, granted, I think that he knew like what he was getting into when he came in. So that's the thing that I'm thankful for. Of course, this is kind of like, are we really surprised? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that people, I don't think that, people that know, the consequences or have seen the history of America and how they treat people that take a stand for what is right or what they believe in. They haven't had the easiest time after, right, in all of our history, right. So I definitely think it's messed up, absolutely, that some team should be able to pick him up. I mean, like, he wasn't like like you said, like, there's not many more quarterbacks that are better than him, but I'm just thinking that I just hope for the best for him. And I think that if it's not in the NFL, you know what I mean, he is going to be okay. Like, granted, he might not be, signing a new contract or, getting as much money as he was. But I think that once he took that first knee, he knew that it wasn't going to be the same. And it's unfortunate if no team does pick him up. But I salute him too. That's another brother that I just, salute, because he literally put his career on the line. You know what I mean? And, like, a successful career that was doing okay. Like, he could have went about his business, could have just let America do what it does, not have this hard conversations about race. But, he made people talk about, like, you couldn't, go a Sunday, like, everybody's watching football. Not everybody, but, Americans love football, Super Bowl.
Football is the American treasure.
Yes, American treasure, right? So this conversation had to be forced about race. So, what he did, will stand for a lifetime. And honestly, like, we might not remember, I was talking to my group today about, can you name me, who's the CEO of AOL right now? Who is the CEO of, AT&T? Who's the CEO of, another, XYZ? You can name 50 big brands, right?
Sears.
How many, who, I don't know, right? But, who were 5 of the leaders in the civil rights movement? You could name one.
Good.
King, right? Okay.
Come on now.
And name 2. Name 3.
I mean, you got to go with Rosa. You got to go with King. You got to go with my boy John Lewis.
All right, 3 right there.
Come
So
on.
you could just think of these names easily, and so this is a perfect example of what I was speaking about. You don't want to just have a career, right? We don't know. I don't know probably 25 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right? But I will remember the name Colin Kaepernick. You know what I mean? And I will, remember what he did and stood for in America. So you want to be remembered. Like, I don't want to do something for the money. And that's what I was telling people. You want to do something for the impact that you're going to make. So maybe he won't get as much money as he would have if he wouldn't have taken that stand. But his name will be remembered forever in history. So
absolutely.
So
and that's the unfortunate dilemma that more and more athletes of our kind, right, have to face every single day. Right? Do I stand and understand morally courageous? Which, to the degree, what I was talking about LeVar Ball, and just who defines, right? Who defines what arrogance and what crazy looks like, right? Because clearly, right, a lot of athletes are saying, well, if I'm honest and morally courageous, then the society said that, nope, that's not proper. So if I take a knee, right, so I can't support my brother, which I'm so shout out to, even though their names will unfortunately go nameless because they wasn't really in the spotlight. But those that showed love to Colin Kaepernick, right, teammates that took a knee with him, people that show love and say, no, at the end of the day, brother, I respect you. And it's probably going to hurt my pockets too. But guess what? It's bigger than us. Just like the generation before us, it was bigger than us. And I feel like that's a tough predicament that, and a lot of us, we try to find what's that gray area in our life that, do I stay with this job even though, they're being sexist towards women, or there's a rape culture here, or there's X, Y, and Z. What do I do? Do I stand up? Do I lose my job? And it's not saying that it's an easy thing, but to your point, right, when I look at people like the Cam Newtons of the world, right, whatever he said, we're like all 3 and some 8 inches of, and it's like, bro, what are you saying? Do you know that if you were, without your football pads and stuff, if something went down, they're not saying, oh my gosh, look at this quarterback. They're looking at another African-American man who's potentially dominant, from a dominant of features, who's threatening, who could potentially lose his life. And to say, listen, bro, I feel you, but Gatorade. Who don't like Gatorade, Mike? Who don't? Come on now. I'm on TV, Gatorade, quarterback. I'm just saying, if I really show love, then. But what about the money, man? And it's like, I mean, to each his own, right? It's not for me to judge. It's not for us to judge.
Right,
but to your point, from that first knee, Colin Kaepernick, he was like, he knew what he was getting into. So that's fascinating. So okay, I want to take it here if this is cool. So as you being a woman in an industry, a journalist, journalistic culture society where I know you mentioned earlier that shout out to the March Madness because this is at least one designated time where women's sports basketball gets shine and deserved coverage. You know what I mean? But what is it? One, your thoughts just on that? The unfortunate just patriarch system, of reducing, women's talent in sports, right, to beach volleyball and things of this nature. But then two, how hard is it being a woman journalist in this culture? Is it? I mean, everybody can to a degree struggle, but I would definitely argue from coverage, how many women analysts are given opportunities to do certain things, right? What is your thoughts on that? So the first question within that is the women's culture of being March Madness, getting the coverage that women's sports deserves. Why do you just continue to feel that women are being disrespected? That's the first question.
I mean, granted, their seats. Well, probably not here. The seats will probably be more full than the men's, but
yeah,
the seats in the seats in the stadium at women's games, might not always be as full, but it's just as important. And I just think that there just needs to be more attention on it, and people need to understand the importance. But I mean, women have been, getting, mistreated, I feel like, and we're still, like fighting for certain rights. We're still fighting for, the same amount on the dollar that men make. So so it's no different in sports, right? I mean, shoot, Title IX was, not too long ago. This was still, like in our, and people in our generation experienced that. So I mean, it's a battle, it's a fight, to get the women's coverage that they deserve. And but I do appreciate the organizations that are making something happen, the ESPNWs, you know what I mean, that they're dedicating the whole channel and whole network site and just podcasts and things like that. Shout out to LaChina Robinson and all the people that are being able to just really shed more light on women's sports and women's sports coverage. And I think that it'll just be, I mean, not always, but I'm hopeful that, regardless of what mainstream media does, that, on a very personal level, people will support women's sports, because I feel like it starts from us. It starts in the home. It starts with parents encouraging their girls to not shy away from sports, and you know what I mean, and then and for boys not to, and for their sons not to look at a girl differently because she plays sports. So I feel like it it starts from that level, and as soon as we just become a culture that accepts women being tomboys. I remember there's a series on tomboys that we were looking at not too long ago that just came out, just about why can't I be a girly girl but also like want to play women's hockey, you know what I mean? So yeah, just as I think on a personal level it starts with our culture, just in the home, and then it's going to graduate to that next level. So that's what I think about as far as women's sports getting coverage. I feel like it's really going to have to be a shift in culture, starting from our American homes.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and then of course around the world. I mean, granted, this is not to say that internationally it's even worse. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for the coverage that we even get here, and that the opportunities that girls get here. But it's definitely starting in the homes, and then and then let's spread this worldwide, where more women and girls can participate in sports and get the same confidence and leadership skills that men are able to get from those types of activities.
No, for sure. And I totally, it's kind of like the dang, girl, I didn't know Nike made dresses. Is like, to the people out there, that's a Love and Basketball reference. If you ain't watch Love and Basketball, go watch Love and Basketball. But to the point, right, I just feel, you know what I mean? I just feel like it's unfortunate, right? And and in all sincerity, because I feel like so many people are uneducated, but to the system, right? And this is a structure, right? It's a male-dominated patriarch system that's like, hey, we're trying to control the narrative. We're trying to say what is cool. We're trying to define how women can play this. Even just looking at the refereeing, right? Men's sports are going to be refereed one way, right? Women is going to be refereed another way, and it's like, oh, so that's how you feeling. Oh, this is how you feeling, right? Or even people like, but you all got Title IX and you got this. Well, why is it that there are more men coaches in women's sports, right, in Division One, right? Not saying that men are not qualified, right, because obviously from that perspective, but it's only certain women that will ever get an opportunity to be on the men, right, men's side, equally have an opportunity, right, to coach men's sports, right? And then you got to be really, really, really good, right? Shake dice, roll a 7, roll a 11, and then hopefully have a Greg Popovich and like, oh, Becky Hammond, because of your love, I just see you, the athlete. I mean, you, the individual who is an athlete with this wealth of experience, who's a great coach, and I just want the best talent.
Right.
Wow. Like, you know what I mean? So from that perspective, listen, I get it. I understand. So my second question to that, though, then is, how is it being a woman just in journalism, being in media, being in sports, and just seeing that, wow, it's a fight just from coverage. But then as a journalist trying to even just put out coverage, it may be difficult in that regard. Speak to that and just your experience, as a journalist in sports, etc., and just how it is speaking to that culture.
Right. Writing sports stories for the past about 7-8 years, and it's been a journey. It's definitely different for women. I remember going to the All-Star game in 2011, and there were only I think this was like the rookie sophomore practice when they had the rookie sophomore game, and there were two women of color there in that space out of like all these reporters, and I was like, where are all the women? And so I think that we are getting more opportunities now. Of course, that was 6 years ago, so a long time coming up. But as a woman journalist, honestly, I do feel like support from the guys. I think that it's just maybe some women are hesitant to get into it, or
sure.
Definitely we have to work harder in order to prove ourselves, in order to get the same positions or get the same bylines that men do. But if you come correct, if you come with it and you keep up your stats, and you really want this, then you can do it and you can go after it. And I definitely encourage, like, that's what I'm saying for the young girls coming up after me. Like, I want to see that more diverse. I want to see more women on the court, whether women of color and not. I want to see more women, not just being sideline reporters, but being analysts. And that's why I love what my girl Roz Gold on Wu Day is doing, just dominating in that field. And
sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing the girls that are inspired, that are going to come up after her, after Lila China's, after Christy Winter Scott. So definitely shout out to everybody who's holding it down, and who have mentored me as well and encouraged me in my sports coverage to keep on going. And yeah, let's keep on making it happen.
Absolutely. Oh my God, there's so many topics. I know those were definitely the three I wanted to touch on today for sure, Mia. But I'm just curious. So I guess in kind of bringing the interview to a close, because I know you're a busy woman. I know you gotta get on the road. I know it's been a long day, and we've been holding you captive at UConn. But just I guess more so in conclusion, what are just some thoughts of words of wisdom, of hope for people to continue to fight the good fight, to continue to inspire themselves, to continue to grind, to continue to be the best version of themselves? You know what I mean? Like, what would you say, I guess more so in conclusion, your motivational advice to the journalists, to the women out there? What would those words be to leave them, to inspire us all?
Well, in the words of the great prophet, Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, let's go.
Sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself. You know what I mean? I think that was probably one of the biggest things that helped me to get to where I am. Dreaming big, right? Knowing that, forget the sky. That's even, beyond the sky's the limit, right?
Unless Jordan says the ceiling and the roof. But anyway, he's the GOAT, though.
But yeah, I mean, that crushing glass ceilings. No, there is no ceiling. Let's
Yeah,
just, go above and beyond. Let's dream above and beyond what we can do. And then that journey to getting there, don't get discouraged on that. Don't get discouraged on your way to where you are. I got to give a shout out to my girl, Karen Civil. Her tweet really resonated with me, talking about, most people give up on their way to their dreams because they look at how far they have to go rather than how far they've come. You know what I mean?
Powerful.
So I think that goes right along with it. Like, shoot for the stars, and then, but on your way there, know it's about the journey, right? The process of you getting to that point is going to build you up. It's going to get you even further than you really thought that you can go. So I would just say encourage and stay encouraged, of course. And don't limit yourself, man. Dream big.
Yeah, wow. Well, Mia, listen. Oh my gosh, you're a rock star. And I'm just so just humbled that the fact that you were able not only to come inspire the students here, but to come in studio and just take some time, because I know you're a busy woman, but I really, really authentically appreciate you, inspired by your work, inspired by all the things that you're doing. The grind definitely is real. The grind continues, but you're definitely, a model example of what people should aspire to, and you're definitely lifting as you climb, which is a beautiful thing. I think ultimately is most important. You could just be doing this for self, but you're doing it for the culture, and I definitely appreciate you for that.
For the culture.
For the culture. For the culture. Well, incredible people. Definitely want to thank Miss Mia Hall, for coming to the studio.
Thank you for having me, man. You're out there inspiring the masses from CT to NYC to South Africa. You know what I mean? All over the globe, man. Y'all gotta know, man. Mike Mal inspiring people in the continent. All right, man. Y'all better watch out, man. Y'all better watch out. He about to get that invitation to go speak. You know what I mean? In Zimbabwe real quick. So, I just safe travels, man. Safe travels, man. when they invite you out there to speak.
Yo,
That's
I
all
appreciate that. Yeah, but the last thing, I got to get on air. You going to come back, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We ain't going to take no 6 years. You going to come back. We in 2017.
Good memory.
Yeah, absolutely. You going to come back. Ain't going to be another 6 years before you back here, right? You going to be back in studio.
No, I'm going to be back. You see my pen? Bam. I'm going to be back, man. I love you, Con.
All right.
I'm in love with the Yuko.
Definitely, yo. Well, for the Motivational Jumpstart, this special edition, I definitely want to appreciate the listeners out there. This is what we're doing. We're trying to shift the culture. We're trying to continue to inspire a generation, but ultimately tell our truth so you all can continue to inspire yourself and find yours. So for the Motivational Jumpstart, we thank Ms. Mia Hall. I'm Mike Mallory, and we're out. Peace.